Hi everyone, I'm Jim. Today, we're diving into a topic that many of us have experienced but rarely fully understand. What happens when an avoidant partner realizes you're genuinely happy without them? This isn't just about love, it's a deep lesson in human psychology and how people react when they lose the control they thought they had. Have you ever been in a relationship where you were the one doing all the work, giving, fixing, holding things together while your partner seemed emotionally unavailable? And then, one day, you chose yourself, focused on your life, and suddenly, they start sending confusing signals? In this video, I'll share 5 common reactions you'll see from an avoidant when they notice you're thriving without them. These insights are grounded in psychology and real-life patterns, not to blame or shame anyone, but to help you understand the why behind their behavior. When you get this clarity, you will stop blaming yourself for their actions. Realize your peace is your greatest power. Learn how to protect your boundaries and self-worth. Stick with me until the end, because I'll also reveal why faking happiness to get them back never works, and what truly helps you heal and move forward stronger than ever. If this resonates with you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you don't miss the upcoming videos packed with insights to help you thrive in love and life. Let's get started. When someone with an avoidant attachment style realizes you're truly happy without them, the very first and most shocking reaction is this: their control narrative collapses. Throughout the relationship, they were accustomed to a certain rhythm. You were the one initiating connection. You were the one patching things up after every withdrawal. And you were the one worrying about the distance while they felt comfortable maintaining it. This dynamic gave them a hidden sense of power, a false security that, no matter how distant I become, you'll still be there. It's the story they tell themselves to avoid confronting their deepest fear, abandonment. But what happens when you stop? When you no longer send long emotional texts? When you're no longer orbiting around their moods, but instead, you're peacefully enjoying your own life? That's when everything inside their mind starts to shake. This new reality isn't just about you moving on. It screams that they no longer control the narrative. And for an avoidant, control is the armor that shields them from pain. When that armor cracks, they feel exposed to the very truth they've tried so hard to escape. They can lose you, and they can't do a thing about it. Imagine this like someone who always believed the chair under them was solid, only to realize it's gone. They fall into a void they never anticipated. For them, your persistence and presence were part of their identity within the relationship. When that disappears, the story in their head dissolves, delivering a hard blow to an ego that's used to withdrawing without consequence. The fascinating part, their reaction is rarely loud or obvious. Most won't come and say, "I feel out of control." Instead, they experience an internal storm shock, discomfort, even anger or confusion. Some may try to restore the old balance by reaching out, testing your response, or creating subtle moves to check if you're still there. Why does this matter to you? Because many people, especially those with anxious attachment, misinterpret these signals. They think, they came back because they love me. But the harsh truth is, most of these behaviors stem from a loss of control, not a genuine shift toward emotional closeness. If you understand this, you'll no longer fall back into the old cycle, mistaking temporary regret for lasting commitment. Your peace is the mirror forcing them to face themselves. When you step out of the old dynamic, you don't just reclaim your freedom, you also give them a chance to confront the emptiness they created in the relationship. But remember, this doesn't mean you should return to fill that void. Instead, keep walking the path you've chosen, the path where happiness isn't about teaching someone a lesson, but about affirming that you deserve stability, respect, and a love that grows rather than runs. When the control narrative they relied on collapses, a chain reaction begins. They're no longer just unsettled by the loss of control, they're forced to face a truth they've long avoided. They are actually losing you. And this is where the second reaction emerges: delayed grief. People with an avoidant attachment style process emotions very differently from others. When a relationship breaks down or ends, while you might cry, lean on friends, or actively seek healing, they do the opposite. They shut their emotions down. They bury themselves in work, distractions, social media, or even rebound relationships, all to escape feeling the pain. For them, emotional pain equals vulnerability and loss of control, 2 things an avoidant fears the most. On the surface, they seem fine. They may even post happy photos, giving the impression they've moved on quickly. But the truth is, they're only postponing their feelings, not processing them. Because emotions don't vanish just because you shove them down. They're like a ball held under water. You can push it down for a while, but eventually it shoots up with force. And what triggers this eruption? The moment they realize you're truly okay and okay without them. When you stop sending those emotional texts, stop trying to reconnect. When you show up radiant and calm in your own life, it shatters the belief they've clung to. You'll always be there for me. And the instant that protective wall cracks, all the emotions they've locked away, grief, regret, fear of loss, come flooding back at once. It's not mild discomfort. It's an emotional storm they're completely unprepared for. At this stage, many avoidants experience silent panic. They suddenly realize that the distance they once created has become an unbridgeable gap. And in that panic, some feel an urge to reach out, not because they're ready to change, but because they're desperate to relieve the pain they're now feeling. Messages like, "I miss you," or subtle moves like liking an old post often stem from this. It's their way of checking if there's still a way back, if they haven't completely lost you. Here's what you must understand. This is not an awakening to your worth or a sudden surge of deep love. This is a nervous system in survival mode, scrambling to avoid discomfort. And if you confuse this with real change, you risk falling back into the familiar cycle, reconnecting, giving them temporary safety, only to be pushed away again. This is where your power lies, in calm boundaries. While they wrestle with their internal storm, you are not responsible for being their safe harbor. You can understand the mechanism, even feel compassion, but don't let empathy pull you back into an unhealthy dynamic. Because staying rooted in your peace not only continues your healing, it sends a powerful message. My happiness doesn't depend on making someone else feel temporarily safe. When the suppressed pain resurfaces and floods their system, the feeling of loss doesn't just bring sadness, it's laced with a quiet panic. Once, they believed you would always be there, anchored in the familiar safety net they thought they controlled. But now, as you radiate peace and certainty, that assumption crumbles. And this anxiety leads to the third reaction, secretly checking up on you. You may not notice it right away, but their mind is now spinning with questions. Are they really okay? Is there someone else? Is that happiness real or just a show to get to me? To find answers, they resort to their default coping strategy, indirect, discreet, and investigative action. You might suddenly notice them viewing your stories after weeks of radio silence. A mutual friend might unexpectedly reach out to check on you. Sometimes, they even go as far as creating anonymous accounts to monitor your activity. None of this is random, it's their way of grabbing onto bits of information to soothe the fear that you've truly moved on. Why do they do this? Because for an avoidant, ambiguity is deeply uncomfortable, especially when it involves control. Not knowing where you stand emotionally, or whether you still think of them, feels like standing on shaky ground. But they won't face the truth directly by calling or expressing feelings that would require vulnerability they're not ready for. Instead, they take the long way around, gathering intel to maintain the illusion of connection. What's fascinating is that this isn't just about information. They're often scanning for signs you haven't fully let go. A sad post, a cryptic quote, anything they can interpret as proof you still care. If they find it, it offers them relief. It means the gap isn't permanent. But here's the key. These actions rarely indicate a genuine desire for a healthy reunion. More often, it's about easing their own anxiety. Understanding this will keep you from misreading their behavior as a sign of real change. A name on your story, views, or a mutual friend's message doesn't equal commitment. It's a coping mechanism, a way to control emotions by controlling access to you. This is why your greatest strength lies in staying focused on your own path. Don't let curiosity or lingering hope pull you back into an old cycle. If they truly want to come back in a meaningful, secure way, they'll need to do the hardest and most necessary thing for an avoidant: communicate openly and vulnerably. And you, let your actions stem from peace and self-worth, not from a need to prove anything. Because true happiness doesn't need validation on social media, it thrives in your inner freedom, when you're no longer bound by power games or endless waiting. When secretly checking up on you no longer soothes their anxiety, a new emotional wave surges, powerful and deeply conflicted. This is the fourth reaction, being emotionally triggered by your detachment. The irony? You haven't done anything wrong. You're not sending angry texts, not playing revenge games, not posting cryptic quotes to provoke them. You've simply chosen calm, you're living your life, and no longer centering everything around them. But this very neutrality triggers their deepest fear, the fear of abandonment. For an avoidant, the sense of being left isn't just a present experience, it's a door back to childhood memories, moments when emotional needs went unmet or intimacy felt unsafe. When their brain perceives your withdrawal, it doesn't logically conclude, they're just focusing on themselves. Instead, their nervous system fires an old alarm. I'm about to be left again. Oh. This response doesn't occur at the rational level, it's primal and emotional. It activates the fight or flight state. You might see them suddenly reappear, trying to reconnect, or conversely, withdraw even further because the intensity is unbearable. Either way, the root cause is the same. Your peace awakens their fear of losing connection, a fear they dread but don't know how to manage. Here's the paradox. Avoidants crave closeness but also fear it. When you seek intimacy, they pull away to protect themselves. But when you step back and radiate independence, they feel an urge to pull you closer. This cycle isn't about your worth or any mistake you made, it's about defense mechanisms wired long before you met. At this point, their brain reads your neutrality not as, they're doing well, but as, they're rejecting me. And for an avoidant, rejection equals old pain resurfacing louder this time because it hits a core wound. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy of someone staying. These unconscious beliefs fuel intense, often contradictory behaviors, seeking attention while simultaneously keeping distance to avoid vulnerability. And here's where clarity matters most. Don't confuse this emotional reaction with true change. They might reach out, show care, even express regret, but much of this can be an immediate attempt to soothe their fear of abandonment, not a genuine commitment to doing the work for lasting connection. If you rush back, the old pattern resumes. They calm down, fear subsides, avoidance kicks in again. Never forget, your calm isn't what hurts them, it's the mirror reflecting fears they've buried. You are not responsible for easing that fear. Facing and healing it is their journey, and only they can choose to take it. As for you, keep walking the path of peace you've chosen, because your steadfastness is the shield that protects your heart from being dragged into a storm that isn't yours. When emotional triggers reach their peak and all indirect efforts to hold on to a sense of control fail, the avoidant enters the fifth stage: regret and reevaluation. This is when reality strikes hard, dismantling the narratives they once clung to. You'll always be there. You need me more than I need you. Or, I can easily find someone like you. These beliefs served as protective armor against vulnerability. But now, as they watch you thrive and find peace without them, those illusions shatter piece by piece. This isn't just fleeting jealousy or mild nostalgia. It's a deep internal shock because they're starting to grasp your true value, the value they unconsciously minimized when they assumed you'd never leave. They may replay the past, recalling every moment you were patient, loving, and eager to connect while they chose to withdraw. Now, those memories feel like evidence of what they've lost, not someone who waits forever, but someone courageous enough to walk away and heal. And yet, despite the regret, most avoidants still don't reach out. Why? Because doing so would require facing two of their greatest fears: vulnerability and rejection. To send an honest message, to admit, I was wrong, they would have to strip away the armor they've worn for a lifetime, the very armor that gave them a sense of control. And the fear of rejection now is stronger than ever, because they know you're no longer in the position of always forgiving. You're in a different place, a place where they have no power to pull you back. So they often choose silence. They might watch you from afar, wrestle with their thoughts, even rehearse messages in their head dozens of times only to never hit send. For an avoidant, inaction feels safer than stepping into vulnerability, where they'd have to confront the reality that the chance may be gone. Here lies the paradox you need to understand. Regret does not equal change. They might realize their mistakes, they might ache for losing you, but unless they're truly ready to do the hard work of healing and learning secure connection, it will stop at longing. That's why so many people miss someone deeply, but never return her. If they do, they pull you back into the same painful cycle. And here is where you face your choice. Hope will whisper, maybe this time they'll be different. But truth will remind you, real change doesn't come from fear of loss, comes from a commitment to face oneself. You cannot force that. You cannot love someone enough to undo years of ingrained defenses. Only they can choose that path if they want to. As for you, look at the reality. You've come too far to trade your peace for uncertainty. The happiness you have now isn't a tool to make someone see your worth. It's the reward of your courage to love yourself and heal. Hold on to that, because nothing is more powerful than knowing you deserve a love that's healthy even if it doesn't come from the person you once hoped for. We've just walked through the 5 things that happen when an avoidant realizes you're happy without them. And if there's one truth I want you to take away from everything I shared today, it's this. Your happiness is not a tool to make someone come back. It's a journey you choose for yourself. You might still feel some regret or a flicker of hope that they'll change. That's completely normal. Loving someone is never simple. But ask yourself, have you done everything you could to make this relationship work? Have you loved with honesty and patience? If the answer is yes, then it's time to let go. Not because you didn't love enough, but because you deserve a love that is healthy, safe, and consistent. Remember this, if they truly want to change, that change must come from them, from their commitment to healing and learning how to connect securely, not from the fear of losing you. And that's something you can't force. The only thing you can control is this: choosing yourself, holding healthy boundaries, and leaving the door open for real love when it arrives. If you found value in this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because we have many more deep conversations ahead about love, attachment, and becoming the strongest version of yourself. And if you have questions or want to share your story, drop a comment below. I read them all and might feature your question in the next video. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Keep taking care of yourself, because you deserve a love that lasts, and it starts with the love you give to yourself. See you in the next video.